Being the kind man he was, he didn't want to be rude. He appreciated the company. But by the end of the year, his savings were gone. And so was she. And stories like this? They're happening more often than we admit. Older adults aren't targeted because they're weak, but because they've spent a lifetime being the ones who say yes. The ones who give. Who help. Who offer without being asked. And now, that beautiful instinct to say yes, to avoid conflict, is being used against them. Because aging brings a quiet kind of fear. The fear of being alone. You might not speak it out loud, but you feel it. That ache for connection. That longing to be seen, heard, needed. And those with bad intentions? They sense it too. Like sharks sensing blood in water, have you noticed that as we get older, the world seems to quiet down? Not just in sound, but in energy. The phone doesn't ring as often. The invitations come less frequently. And suddenly, time feels like it's stretching out endlessly. Your house, once full of life, now feels emptier. The kids are busy with their own families. You sit with your memories and wonder if your present still carries the weight it once did. But nobody tells you this part of aging. Nobody warns you that getting older doesn't just make you wiser. It also makes you more vulnerable. And it's in that quiet vulnerability that something dangerous can sneak in. Not always as a loud threat. Sometimes, it arrives like a kind breeze during a storm. A neighbor offering to help with groceries. A distant relative checking in after years of silence. It all seems harmless, until it's not. Because underneath that surface-level kindness, there's often a motive. One that people over 60 need to be aware of. You're targeted, not because of your strength, but because of your loneliness. Not because of what you can do, but because of how much you've given. Take Mr. James, for example. He's 74, lives alone. His wife passed away 5 years ago. Most of his days are spent caring for his garden and watching old westerns. Then one day, a young woman from the neighborhood began dropping by. I was just checking in, she'd say with a smile. She brought cookies. Helped him set up his phone. Chatted with him during the afternoons. But after a few months, she started asking questions. Could I borrow $20 for gas? Can you help me with this bill, James? They offer just enough warmth to lower your guard. Just enough attention to slip through your defenses. And as your energy fades, so does your ability to protect yourself emotionally. It's not just physical fatigue. It's the emotional exhaustion of constantly having to guard your heart. Of wanting to keep the peace instead of asking hard questions. Of nodding and smiling instead of pushing back. But here's what you need to understand. Peace may be quiet. But your well-being shouldn't be. And in today's world, where technology has sped up everything, a single wrong click or trusting the wrong caller can cost you your identity, your money, your security. Because scammers today don't just hide behind screens. Sometimes, they come as friends. As family. As someone who just wants to help. Margaret, an 81-year-old widow, told me about her nephew. He hadn't spoken to her in years, then suddenly reappeared. I missed you, he said. He did her laundry, used her car. At first, it felt like love. But deep down, she knew. She was being used. And that's the trap. You think, if I give more, maybe they'll stay. Maybe they'll love me. But here's the truth. Those who truly care about you, they will never manipulate your kindness. They will never make you feel guilty for setting boundaries. If someone only shows you love when they're receiving something, that's not love. That's convenience. And yes, realizing this hurts. It feels like betrayal. But it's also a wake-up call. Because the older you get, the more you must protect. Not just your money, not just your home. But your peace. Your emotional balance. These years are meant for reflection, calm, and joy. You've earned them. But that joy can't bloom when you're constantly surrounded by people who drain you. So ask yourself. Have I let someone into my life just because I feared being alone? Have I said yes when my heart screamed no? Have I mistaken manipulation for affection? If the answer is yes, know this. You are not weak. You are human. And you are not alone. Many good-hearted people go through the same thing. But once you see the pattern, you can stop it. In the next chapter, we'll talk about how your kindness, as beautiful as it is, can become harmful when misused. Because being nice is a gift. But only when it's given to the right people. And let's be honest. This topic hits close to home for many. There's a reason why people say older folks are the sweetest. Decades of patience, hardship, and loss have shaped them. But here's the thing. That sweetness, when left unguarded, can become a doorway. One that takers will walk through again and again. Kindness isn't weakness. But unchecked openness? That's dangerous. Because when you smile instead of speaking up, when you let someone cross your boundaries just to avoid conflict, you invite a different kind of harm. There's a difference between being warm and being accessible to everyone. And when you're accessible to everyone, you become a target. You'd be surprised how manipulation hides itself. A neighbor who starts visiting too often. A caregiver who overshares to pull you in. A family member who makes you feel guilty for setting limits. They don't start big. They test the waters. They see how much they can take. How far you'll bend. And once they know, they return, not for you, but for what you give. Helen, 79, is a wonderful woman. The type who always baked extra in case someone visited. Her generosity was legendary in her retirement community. But over time, her apartment became a drop-in center. People came for advice, cookies, and favors. But no one ever asked how she was doing. She said, "I've never said no in my life, but I'm so tired." And that's the hidden cost of being too kind. You don't bounce back the same way anymore. Emotional exhaustion now lasts for days. We talk so much about fraud, identity theft, online scams. But often, the real threat comes from people who say they love you. You start saying yes, not out of compassion, but out of fear. Fear of conflict. Fear of being alone. But compassion shouldn't leave you feeling empty. A relationship that drains you isn't a relationship. It's a transaction. So remember this. Not everyone who smiles at you is your friend. Not everyone who gives you something deserves your trust. Some have mastered the art of flattery. Learned exactly how to make you feel seen, needed. So they can take more. They call it a small favor. They say, "You're the only one I can talk to." They frame it as you being noble. But notice. They always take. They never give. If someone consistently empties your cup and never fills it, they are not your friend. They are a taker. And takers will keep taking until you stop them. That's where boundaries come in. Not to shut people out, but to protect the warmth in you. You can say no. You can turn off your phone. You can lock your door. You are not obligated to answer every call or invitation. And those who love you will understand. True friends respect space. They don't guilt you. They check in, not check up. And if you don't have those people in your life yet, know this, they exist. Sometimes, you have to let go of the wrong ones to make room for the right ones. Because being too available comes with a cost. Years of giving, raising families, supporting everyone. These years are your time now. You deserve to be surrounded by people who warm you, not wear you out. Who pour into you, not pull from you. So take a pause and ask. Who's lifting you up? And who's slowly draining you? In the next section, we'll talk about the sacred power of drawing a line. Because at this stage of life, boundaries aren't just wise. They're essential. You've spent your whole life being the dependable one. Now it's time to be dependable, to yourself. Because protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's survival.